Selamat sore, everyone.
Yeah.
Huge welcome to Le Wagon Demo Day. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We have friends, alumni, and family with us. And we are thrilled to have you here to celebrate our newest graduates. For those of you who are new to the community, Le Wagon began its journey in 2013 to help professionals gain foundational tech skills in as short amount of time as possible. And since then, Le Wagon has evolved into a global leader in tech education, boasting a community of over 30,000 alumni across campuses around the world, and there are 40 of them. Tonight is particularly special because we are showcasing talent from 3 of our courses. Data analytics, and these graduates have learned the ins and outs to capture, analyze, and visualize data to drive business decisions. Then we have full stack web development, also known as AI software now, with the recent curriculum upgrades. And these students have mastered the art of building full stack software products from complete scratch, with the back end, with the front end, learning product design, and then also integrating AI features. Last but not least, data science and AI. And this group has dived deep into Python, machine learning, and deep learning, neural networks, all that kind of stuff, to solve complex problems with artificial intelligence. And the projects you're about to see are the result of an incredibly intense journey. For the last 9 weeks, these students have worked tirelessly every day from 9 to 6, absorbing new complex concepts every day. And the teachers have worked tirelessly too. Day in, day out, patiently hammering it all into the students' heads, and also spanking them when they try to cheat with GPT, and also debugging their AI messed up code. And in these last 2 weeks specifically, the students have taken everything they've learned and poured it into the final projects, which you will see tonight. They have learned to code, to collaborate, and ship a product in record time. It is not easy, and they should be very proud of what they have achieved. So a big round of applause for all the students, please. Thank you. I think it's my batch, actually. No?
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, I think so. That was my teacher. Yeah. And without further ado, let me first ask everyone to put their phones in silent mode, if possible. You know, we don't want any ringtones. And then secondly, between every presentation, there will be like a very small break, 1 to 2 minutes. And yeah, you can shuffle about then. And with that being said, let us introduce the first project. Amalie, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Amalie, and I will present my project with the title Children of the World, or Lack Thereof, in which I explore and investigate what data can tell us about the global fertility. So in recent years, we often see headlines like this one in the media telling us that more and more countries are having fewer kids, and sometimes it's even referred to as a global fertility crisis. And this crisis can have potential big consequences for economical systems around the world, because we see more people getting older, but with fewer babies being born, there will not be enough people to take care of them. So the main goal for my project was to develop a machine learning model to predict recent fertility rates across countries based on different societal data on different societal aspects, and in this way gain insights into key factors associated with these global fertility trends. So when you discuss fertility, there are some terms that are really good to know. First of all, a country's fertility is often expressed by its fertility rate, which is the average number of kids per woman in a certain year. Related to that, an important number to have in mind is 2.1, which is the so-called replacement rate, being the average babies per woman that a society needs to be able to maintain replacement of population across generations. So with these terms in mind, I would like to give you an idea of the current situation when it comes to fertility. So this map categorizes country based on their fertility rate. And when a country turns from green to orange, it means it has a fertility rate below the replacement rate. And what we can see that over time is that more and more countries have this fertility rate below 2.1 children. And in 2023, more than half of the countries has this fertility rate below 2.1. And we even see countries with very low rates, below 1 kid per woman. And this fertility trend is often explained by more and more countries being more developed, which this graph also shows you that on a global level, we see an increase over time on the human development with the opposite trend for the global fertility. And it was this trend that I was very curious to see if I could document in my model and also focus on several aspects related to human development. So the first thing I had to do was to get an overview and collect the relevant data for the project, which I did from publicly available sources provided by humanitarian organizations. And even though there was so much interesting data to look into, I had to decide on which societal aspects to include. And in other words, I had to select the features for my model. And this selection was based on what I, from theory, had a good idea about would have a great association with fertility, but also by pure curiosity. For example, I was very curious to see if I could find a relation between a country's score of happiness and fertility rate. And a lot of this work was about joining a lot of tables because I had so many different sources. So in the end, had one big main table with all these features for each country. After that, I had to decide on what model to use. And to be able to do that, I had to get an idea of the relationship between these features and fertility. I did that by exploring a lot of scatter plots, as you can see here on this beautiful pair plot. And what I could see very fast was that a lot of the features showed a linear relationship like this one with fertility. So we have the gender inequality index here that show this linear pattern. So I chose for a linear regression model and removed all the features that didn't show this kind of pattern. I also had to remove a lot of features with a lot of null values, and in the end remove countries that had some null value somewhere in the data set. So I ended up with a total of 130 countries. So this is the main scores for my model evaluation. We can see on my model captures 91% of the variation in fertility rates across countries. And the difference between what my model predicts and what the actual fertility rate is on average 0.3 children. I identified the strongest predictors in my model by analyzing the coefficients, which tell us about the features' relationship with fertility. And the strongest predictors with a negative linear relationship with fertility were the Human Development Index and when a country was classified as being a full democracy. And on the other hand, the strongest predictors with a positive linear relationship with fertility were the Gender Inequality Index and when a country was classified as being an authoritarian regime. So how these main findings we can see here that for the 10 countries on top with the highest fertility rates in my dataset, all of them are in the type of regime as being authoritarian or hybrid. So they are less democratic, whereas we see the opposite pattern for the 10 countries with the lowest fertility rates. So I was very curious on this pattern, so I ran a statistical test to evaluate the difference on average fertility rate between countries classified as being authoritarian and democratic countries. And my result was that this difference in averages was very significant. As mentioned, another strong predictor in my model was the gender inequality. And it's very easy to see here when we compare Afghanistan as being the country with a very high fertility rate in my dataset to South Korea with the absolute lowest. There is a big difference in the gender inequality. So what I can conclude from my work is that it supports this societal trade-off that when we see an increasing developmental progress, it may come at the cost of fewer children being born. And I think this finding is very, very interesting because it raises a lot of questions on what is the purpose of having kids, and is this purpose dependent on what needs are met in society. And that will be very interesting to look more into in a future edition of my project, where I would also focus on having a more complete data set with more countries. Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Kevin, and as you can see, this is Precision. I took out the AI because everything's AI now. And I come from a crypto background, so a lot of these things, they have crypto native build through fear. That's actually misspelled on purpose. And what it means is I want everyone here to think about how quickly we've been building and been iterating, building through iterations and mistakes. I think that's what this class has been all about. And I've been so fortunate to have enjoyed this journey with all of you. So what is the real estate market in the United States? The reason why I wanted to analyze this data is by far, if you look at commercial real estate and residential real estate, it dwarfs, it massively is higher than equities. And you're looking at almost an $80 trillion market. So it's a huge amount of customers, and not only for consumers, but also businesses. Right now, investing in property is a lot of guesswork. I'm sure all of you, when you have enough capital or you already have the capital, are thinking about trying to invest in property. Right now, information is deeply disaggregated. It's decentralized. You have to use many different tools to find the information that you need. And what this results in is information overload. I think AI was supposed to help us, but now AI has given us so much information we don't know what to parse through. So what did I want to do? I wanted to actually build a machine learning model to predict pricing. A lot of the data analytics course is looking at trends in data, but actually I came into an interesting conclusion in that I started figuring out what my data meant and then how to apply it to a business case. So what I had was Airbnb listing data. I was able to scrape over 1 million unique rows from Airbnb public information, and this is only for 30 markets within the United States. I want to also emphasize how important it is to clean your data. By show of hands here, who actually has a clean room? Does anyone have a clean room? So I'm assuming the rest of you have dirty rooms, and I'm assuming it's sometimes hard to find things, right? The same thing applies to data. If you have dirty data, it's really difficult to locate the data that you need. And so data cleaning becomes a very important part of this process. And I want to emphasize how difficult this was. Out of the entire 2 weeks, I probably spent a week on the data cleaning and the data processing. After I processed the data, I was able to run it through the machine learning model and then apply this to my application. And so what is the challenges that I had with large data? I had over 1 million unique rows, so I used BigQuery to process. Approximately 100,000 data points were either cleaned or imputed. And I also had a lot of non-numerical data. Machine learning it runs more efficiently when you're working with numerical values. And so if you have categorical data, for example, you respond within an hour, you respond within 2 hours, you respond within a day, you apply numerical variables to this, and it helps the machine learning model work a little bit more efficiently. The biggest challenge that I had actually with the data was abnormal distributions. Most machine learning models require normal distributed data, and so I had to apply log to data sets that weren't following a normal distribution. And as you can see, when I applied log to price, it looks a lot more normally distributed. I also actually applied log to a lot of different other features that you see in the Airbnb listings. As you can see, accommodates is how many people does a particular property accommodate, how many bathrooms a house or a property has, and bedrooms. And why this is so important is because most property physical data is going to be skewed to the left. Obviously, most properties don't have 50 bathrooms, and so I had to deal with not just the outliers, but also the abnormal distributions. And so I built Precision because I wanted to have precise predictions for rental listings. My final model score, R2, was 78. And so I could explain 78 in the difference in my predictions for listing data. And my mean absolute error was around $58. So that means my rental price is plus or minus $58. All right, now, time for the demo. And actually, here is the application. So we're going to go through this, and I'm actually going to use my actual house that I own in Los Angeles. You can apply different cleanliness scores. Location is going to be instant bookable, and then what is the property type? And then as soon as you input the address, oops. On the back end, I geocode, and then I predict what the listing price is going to be, $129. And what's really cool is I was able to pull in a 5-mile radius the 200 listings surrounding. So these are all Airbnb listings, and you can tell by the colors what type of, are they a hotel? Is it an apartment? Is it a house? And so you can use this data to try to think about what type of properties are very dense and what is an underserved market. I also looked at the investment analysis. So based on the address, all this information is pulled automatically. The average nightly rate, the purchase price, your loan terms you set, down payment. My interest rate was actually quite low. And then you can also set your monthly expenses. And after you set these variables, you see, okay, does it make sense to rent this out? And you have a negative cash flow, so that's a no. But there's also an alternative to Airbnb listings, and what is that? That's actually a month-to-month rental or yearly listings. And so I also wanted to look at comparable properties as well. And so this chart right here, this actually aggregates the rental market for month-to-month from Zillow, and it aggregates it into a table. And you can see over here, everything matches up. 2 beds, 2 baths, square footage is very, very similar. Yeah. And after that, I wanted to apply a dashboard to look at all the data that I was able to aggregate because there was so much. As you can see through these filters, I'm actually only showing a sample size of 10% because if I do 100% and I'm looking through 900,000 rows, it just takes a long time. But you look at the statistics. So what is the mean, median rental price? What is the distribution of price? Price by property type, average price by location. And this is for all quarters. You can also filter quarter by quarter, price versus accommodation per bedroom. You can even look at host performance. So how does host performance actually affect the listing price, and then you look at the review analysis. How do all the hosts, how are the ratings distributed? All right, and then at the very bottom, you look at property characteristics. And as you can see here, it kind of matches the distribution that we talked about earlier. And at the very bottom, you have location insights. And so this will show you the top 5 markets, quarter by quarter, what the listing price is, what the price trends are quarter by quarter, and what is the percentage of bookings that are instantly bookable on Airbnb. So you don't have to wait for a host to basically accept you. And so this was what I built after hours and hours of work. And I wanted to, hold on, gotta go back. What does this mean? So I was able to deploy this model successfully. I used machine learning to exceed human intuition. I had to use a variety of different data sources as well as various API calls to cull the information that I needed. And in the future, I can actually, since I already have the code, I can automate the scraping of Airbnb data. So on a quarter by quarter basis, I'll scrape additional data, and then we can have years of information. I want to also, in a future build, enable users to put their investment properties so they can track the performance over time, and they can also look at how is their listings being compared to others as well. And I want to also scale this, so I need your money today. That's what we're all here for, but I really appreciate this. It was a great journey, and I hope that some of you found this helpful.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Trevor. This is my colleague Lauren. There's Victor, and together we are HuddleAI. I'd like to invite you to go on a short 5-minute walk with us. And as we go on this walk, I want you to imagine. I want you to imagine that you are a solo founder. You've just quit your job, done 2.5-month bootcamp with Wagon. You have maybe 6 months of savings left, and you are now faced with high-stakes, difficult decisions every single day. Should I raise funding or bootstrap? When do I hire? How do I price? Big companies, they have advisory boards. They have CFOs, CMOs, tech teams, legal teams, so many people that they can bounce their ideas off of. Solo founders, we are making the same difficult decisions all on our own. That's why we built HuddleAI. So that solo founders, just like you and I, right, don't have to make the difficult decisions by ourselves anymore. Our platform gives solo founders access to something that they've never had before. Their own team of specialists, all in one place at an affordable cost, ready to huddle whenever they need them. But here's what makes our platform special, right? When you huddle with your team of specialists, they don't just respond one answer at a time, right? They actually huddle, they discuss, they debate, just like a real team would. Let us show you. Lauren here is going to create a huddle. And Lauren is going to start by providing context about her business, because again, we don't want generic advice, right? We want context-specific information. Lauren is running a meal prep delivery service in London, and she's a solo founder too, by the way. Yeah. Lauren is then going to go ahead and provide her team with an agenda, just like in a real meeting, right? You want key points on what's going to be discussed in the conversation. And the goal of this conversation is for Lauren to get clarity on her financing decision, right? Should she bootstrap or raise funding? Last but not least, Lauren is going to decide who to invite into this conversation. Based on their unique set of expertise, she's going to decide the specialist to invite in this conversation. So she'll invite our financial specialist, strategy, and actually, Lauren, let's go ahead and invite our legal specialist too, because financing decisions have legal implications. And as soon as Lauren enters the huddle, she's going to ask the question that we started with, right? Should I raise funding or bootstrap? And as soon as Lauren presses enter, let's watch what happens. As you can see, our financial specialist is the first to respond, right? Because they have the most subject matter expertise. Then as soon as our financial specialist is done, as you can see, they are providing perspective on the numbers. Then our strategic specialist is going to come in and they are going to provide the perspective on the long-term growth of the business, right? And the implications of Lauren's decision. And last but not least, our legal specialist, as I mentioned before, is going to provide Lauren with a perspective on the legal implications of her decision. And here's what makes our platform special, right? As I mentioned before, you are not just getting one response at a time, right? They're actually having a conversation. They're having a debate. They're huddling, just like a real team would, right? And as I mentioned before, this is not a chatbot, right? This is not ChatGPT giving you the same generic responses that it gives to everyone else. And some of it may not be even be relevant to your specific use case or business, right? This is not Google giving you 10 million results. This is a huddle. It's a conversation, as you can see, with your team. And Lauren might be asking herself, right? What happens when the meeting ends? And I may be putting words in your mouth here, Lauren, but stay with me. So HuddleAI doesn't just stop there. As we know, words without actions means nothing, right? And the hard work actually starts after the meeting. So what HuddleAI does, it compiles everything that Lauren discussed with the team, puts it into key decisions, key action items, so that Lauren has clarity on what to do next. And Lauren can also download a transcript of the entire conversation with her team, and she can export this as a PDF. She can save it and reference it later, so that when she's laying on her bed at 2 a.m., unable to sleep, contemplating a decision, right, and second guessing herself, she has something to look back to, right? And here's the thing. Starting a business is hard, right? As so many solo founders in this room may be able to tell you. Doing it alone, man, that's even harder, right? But HuddleAI is not here to replace human advisors. As I said before, our platform gives solo founders something that they've never had access to before. A team in their corner, ready to huddle whenever they need them, right? Because every founder, especially everyone that's brave enough to start their own business, deserves a team. Thank you. We are HuddleAI.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today, me and my colleague Andreas over here, we have the greatest honor to presenting to you the next big thing for your wallet, SayPay. But before we jump into it, I would like to ask the crowd one simple question. Who here has recently been traveling through Southeast Asia? And on your travels, how difficult was it to keep track of all your spending? Pretty difficult, right? And there's no way around it. When you're always on the move, spending money without thinking, you're guaranteed to lose track of all your spending. And nobody wants that. And that's horrible, right? You're guaranteed to lose track of all your spending, only to go home and find out that you've been spending double your budget. That's a terrible scenario. Well, worry no more, because today we are introducing SayPay. So what exactly is SayPay?
SayPay is an app for travelers traveling around many different countries that want to keep track of their expenses and also of their budget. It's very simple how to use it. It's just 3 steps. Step number 1, you just speak to SayPay. You just say, I spent 12 euro for a coffee. Step number 2, SayPay will automatically track everything. Step number 3, you can easily understand your spending, your budget, by using the dashboard and also using SayPay's AI. What about we just try it out together today?
Great idea. And you also have been traveling through Southeast Asia recently, right, Andreas? So maybe we can use SayPay for your current trip?
Good idea. Exactly. I've already been to Laos, to Thailand, and right now I'm traveling around Indonesia. So I will add this to SayPay. I have a budget right now of around 500 euro. And I arrived here 2 weeks ago. And I'm planning to stay here until right before Christmas.
And what type of expenses did you have on your current trip? I heard recently you went to some type of yoga session?
Yeah, so today in the morning I had a breathwork session.
All right. And did you want to add that to SayPay?
Let's do it. Today I had a yoga class and I spent 200,000 rupiah.
By the way, you seem really relaxed, man. That yoga session did you a lot of good. Anyway, so here we can see whether the expense has correctly been saved or not and modify it if necessary. Is everything correct here?
Everything seems correct. I will just accept it.
And what other expense did you have? I heard that after your yoga lesson, you went to lunch.
Yeah, so today I had very delicious lunch at Warung Sika.
And did you want to add that to SayPay too?
I will add it. I had lunch today for 50,000 rupiah.
By the way, I noticed you've been going out quite often lately. You might want to slow it down a little bit. Anyway, is everything correct here?
Very correct. So this is great, but actually, I mean, recently I've been in Thailand. I tracked lots of expenses. Is there any way how I can get some insights on them, on my budget?
Absolutely. You can actually go to the overview and then we can actually see how you've been spending your budget together and maybe focus on your last trip Thailand. And just feel free to take a minute and analyze where your money's going.
This is interesting. So by looking at this, it seems like I spend most of my money in Thailand for shopping and supplies. If I take a closer look at the transactions I had, I only had one transaction for shopping and supplies. That's odd. Well, but I think I remember now. I spent it on a designer t-shirt in Thailand.
That's embarrassing.
But yeah, I think I really have to start focusing more and maybe also spending less on shopping and supplies. So is there any way how SayPay can help me to achieve this?
Absolutely. If you have any questions, you can actually talk to our AI experts by just clicking on the chat and just ask away.
That's a good idea. Then
And ask away.
Then I will just use the chatbot to ask if it was reasonable to spend 400 euro on a designer t-shirt. And this chatbot will use my budget that I added to it as a basis. So,
And as you can see here, our AI expert will clearly indicate in a detailed description how spending half of your budget on a designer t-shirt might not have been a great idea, Andreas. Anyway, so remember folks, whenever you're curious about where your money is going on your travels, just be like Andreas and just download SayPay.
Hello everyone, welcome. So today we're glad to present you the fruit of our work, FakeSpotter. One day we learned that worldwide, on average, a person spends 3 hours and 50 minutes on their phone. To that spending, there is a lot of altercation with social media and especially with pictures of other people. With the rise of AI this day, we can see a lot of picture alteration. While it started as small isolated features such as teeth whitening or eye color alteration, this day AI can enable you to totally retouch a picture. And this is very dangerous because it sets unattainable health and beauty standards which have a high impact on mental health. So in order to ground ourselves back into reality and ensure that you can have the most accurate representation of the people, we developed our new tool, FakeSpotter. FakeSpotter is a model that enables you to analyze and detect if an image has been tampered with, enhanced, or modified. And in order to do so, we used several data sets. The first one is the FFHQ and FFHQR, which have been developed by NVIDIA. It consists of high quality, firstly of high quality images that are natural and unmodified, which first were 52,000 pictures, and on the other hand, the retouched picture, which were 30,000 pictures, or pictures that have been retouched through several beauty filters that we can find on mainstream apps like Instagram or Snapchat, but also through different enhancement tools, such as ones that are AI powered. And in order to test our inference, meaning ensure that our model would work outside of our training data, we took some pictures of ourselves and the lovely stuff of Le Wagon, which we also enhanced through different mainstream AI apps, such as Facetune. Then we developed our model. We started with the base model, which is Conv2D. However, this base model had a very low precision, unfortunately only of 40%. Then we switched onto pre-trained model. This pre-trained model were also quite successful, increasing the precision to a range of 63 to 65%. However, it was not high enough for standards, which is why we went deeper. And by going deeper, we found out this model called FastAI. FastAI enabled us to reach a precision of 94%, which finally meeting our standard, it also had a very fast prediction time of only 718 seconds. Through the implementation of fast AI, we managed to have only a 4% error mistake on our whole data set. Once we reached this model, we focused on the base model, the one that is at the core of the fast AI. And this model at the core is the ResNet 50. ResNet 50 is a convolutional network, a neural network per se, which has several layers. Some were pre-trained, some retrained by us, and therefore each layer would specify on a particular area of the picture, identifying different patterns and learning from them. On top of that, we added a new layer called GradCam. This GradCam enables us to showcase and visualize the driver that lead our model to output different kind of probabilities and therefore classify. Once our whole model was built, we wrapped all of that into a Docker container, which we pushed to the cloud and created an API on top. The API is key in our model because it enables a seamless integration into different kind of apps such as Instagram, Facebook, or Bumble. So for Instagram, it would enable to see the reality behind of the picture. For example, for influencers to see how their daily content is impacted by this different enhancing tool, or for Bumble in terms of dating, see if the person is actually giving a real portrayal of itself. And the API enables to do this in-app without even changing or going out of the app. Now we're going to showcase our model and also how the API works through the use of a website called Streamlit, which is the moment I'm going to call upon my colleague Alex to do you the demo.
Thank you. So now I'm going to present you the model and run Streamlit. So Streamlit is basically an app like where you can make a website to show the model. So I will ask our dear team of web dev not to be too harsh with the design. We are data scientists, not a web developer. So I know. So here it is. So as you can see, so we can like upload a file and then ask directly to make a prediction. It's calling an API that can make a little bit of time, the calling, and it will display the image that we browse and also if it has been modified or not. Is it unable to log in? You have to reload, okay.
As my colleague said, we're not a web developer, we're a model developer.
But we are looking for web developers. So please apply quickly. As you can see, it's not our field. It's going better.
Does it also work for Tinder?
Yes, so it's also a part of it. It will also an app. The idea is to take a screenshot. You take a screenshot and you can load it. And the image gonna be, so here is a picture of me with a Facetune face, like you can see fierce eyes and look to look like hotter maybe. And as you can see, I got like spotted that I don't know, fake with like a 79% of the probabilities that this picture is a fake. And you have the GradCam picture of it, so that basically you can see it detects the area where it thinks this is like the layer that highlight and make this prediction actually. And you can see the fierce eye, basically not my look. So now we can also like load an original picture to see like how if it's still working normally. And yeah. So here you can see Ahmed. So he's not a scam. You can date him, girls. 100% probability it's an original. And so obviously we don't return any GradCam picture. So see, this app like can be used, as you mentioned earlier, on like social media or things like this. And as you saw, like previously, it directly focused on the head. We have a face detection system. And it like just output to really focus on the head and not whatever is happening on the background. So yeah, we have been challenging, but we managed to sort this. And of course, there's lots of upgrade to come. Basically, the website. But well, here is our project, and I hope you enjoy our presentations.